It is Katie's 26th birthday. She's old now. Close to 30. She'll be 30 soon.
Bro, I've been old. Because mentally, I'm 86 years old.
It's true. It's just an old man. We're just up here hiking. And then we're gonna do like a Hobbit day of eating tomorrow. So that should be fun. We'll do breakfast.
Second breakfast. 11Z's luncheon. 11Z's
lunchies.
We have some lunchies, yeah.
Luncheon, afternoon tea,
Oh yeah, fuck.
dinner, and supper. Okay, so we're starting breakfast off with a tofu scramble. We're just gonna dice up the onion and bell pepper. Make sure you are dicing your onion into small enough pieces. Your pan's already hot with a little bit of olive oil or whatever oil you have. Sauté the onions until fragrant. Add in the bell pepper. And then you will add in a couple cloves of garlic. And you'll sauté that down until the peppers are soft. And then while we are cooking the peppers, I already have the London fog started on the heat so everything finishes at the same time. You'll take a block of extra firm tofu, have it drained and pressed. You can wrap it in a paper towel or a cloth towel and put a couple heavy books on it, or you could use a tofu press, whatever your preference is. But you'll just separate that out with your hands. Add some turmeric for flavor and color. And then you'll also salt and pepper to taste. This is a little bit of Creole seasoning. It really sets off the flavors in the onion and the pepper, that Creole seasoning, so I would definitely suggest including that. And then you'll also add a little bit of olive oil to the top just to make sure everything doesn't stick together. And it's crazy how much that turmeric changes the color of the egg, or the tofu to resemble eggs. Add some fresh spinach in there, cook that down until it's wilted. And then we'll also, you can tear it into pieces too so it's not too big. And you won't heat that up for too long because you don't want to get it too wilted, because then a lot of the water will start to come out from the leaves. And now we are adding Miyoko. It's a plant-based cheese. It's farmhouse cheddar. And it has a bit of a smokiness to the cheese, and then it melts down pretty well because it has a pretty high oil base to it. And that's it. You just let everything cook for a little bit on medium heat. And we made tofu scramble tacos. So we just sliced up some fresh avocado. I took mine on corn tortillas. And then add some fresh tomatoes. And then we had a cilantro dressing that's left over from something else that we cooked, and I'll include that recipe down below in the description. We're just adding some loose leaf Earl Grey to some 6 cups of Oatly and just letting that steep on medium heat or medium low until you get the desired color you'd like, and I'm adding agave, but you can add in sugar and pretty much any other sweetener. So here we have second breakfast. We're doing a gluten-free zucchini bread, just sliced up and toasted on a pan. We don't have a toaster, so I'm using a pan. And then you'll just kind of brown that on both sides and heat it up. I'll include the recipe below. And then just topping that off with some Miyoko salted butter. Best butter in the world. It's amazing. So here we're starting 11sies. We're going to do kind of a traditional British, a typical British UK meal. Some roasted potatoes, tomatoes, mushrooms. I didn't go to the store and look for Heinz beans, but you would obviously do beans on toast. What are you thinking? So it's not exactly, but it's pretty damn close. So the potatoes, just parboil them, heat up the pan, and then pop them into the pan and kind of squish them down a little bit. As you can see, they're pretty flat. And then just add salt, pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder, and it's delicious. Those mushrooms, we're just heating up a little bit of oil in a pan, then adding those mushrooms in to kind of cook down and get all that moisture cooked out of them. Those tomatoes, we're going to add some water into a hot pan, add the tomatoes in, and then you're just going to cook the tomatoes down kind of like a sauce, like a tomato pasta sauce you would do. So you're just heating up those tomatoes so the skin gets nice and soft, adding some sugar, and then you will, once the tomatoes get soft enough, you'll turn up the heat a little bit to cook out that water content, and you'll smash those tomatoes. And then we're just adding some butter to the mushrooms to give it a little bit of a salty flavor. So yeah, just smash those tomatoes down, and then you'll cook out the moisture until it's kind of like a jam or a reduction consistency. Yeah, you can see here all that moisture is cooked out, and that's how you would serve it. You just let it cool down a little bit and it'll start to get a little thicker. Turn off the mushrooms and everything's ready to eat. You'll just make your toast. And for luncheon, we have a traditional PG tips with some sugar and cream, Oatly of course, and we did a cucumber and cream cheese tripe sandwich with a chickpea cranberry sandwich, and so I'll include those recipes down below because I didn't record making them because it took forever. Here we're making scones from scratch for afternoon tea. So I wanted to do a lemon scone, and everything's going to be, of course, vegan and gluten-free. So we have the zest of a lemon, add that to the sugar, add in your dry ingredients, mix everything up, and then you'll add in your liquids, your vanilla, lemon juice, and then you just mix everything up. You're supposed to put it on parchment paper when you bake it. I didn't have any, so I just used aluminum foil. But they came out pretty good. I cooked at my parents' because I don't have an oven, so they have a propane stove, and so they turned out a little weird, but if you have a conventional stove, you should be fine. And then we paired these scones with a lingonberry jam and some butter with the coconut, with a can of coconut cream and a little bit of powdered sugar. I remembered what the mixture was called. It's called clotted, but I usually just did a vegan version of started on dinner. I made a Italian style soup. I'll include the recipe below, but we're just dicing up onions, getting those fragrant, adding in the garlic because it has a lower flash point, so it cooks off a little. I'm adding in, the recipe calls for dry white wine, but I only had Prosecco. So we added Prosecco in there, and you just will kind of reduce that wine down. And then it calls for 5 cups of broth, so I'm just using a plant-based vegetable broth in water. And then I'm adding flour, 2 tablespoons of flour, gluten-free Bob's Red Mill, kind of 1-for-1 baking flour that I had left over from the scones, and adding that to the onion and garlic mixture. Just finely coat those, cut that down a little bit, add some of your broth, and then you'll stir your onions and your garlic up, and then you'll add the remaining broth. You're supposed to add it a little bit at a time, but I not have the patience for that, so I just added it all at once. We'll dice up, the recipe calls for 3 russet potatoes. I had Yukon Gold, so I just took 4 of those, and they're medium sized. Add in your red pepper flakes to your spice level. Add in your coconut cream or coconut milk. And then you'll let it kind of marinate for a little bit, and then you'll add your kale just to roast it enough. And then we have supper. So for supper, I could not eat anymore. So I had some German chocolate cake. It's, of course, gluten-free and vegan. I'll include it if I can find kind of a dupe recipe, but this is from a local health food store. Left over from Katie's birthday bit. Absolutely delicious. Thanks so much for watching.